welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Wednesday edition. It's me and the queen of all podcasts, attorney Vanessa Moss. I'm Adolph Mongo. Hello there.
Hello. Listen, let me give a shout out to all those that are joining us on Detroit in Black and White, our Wednesday evening edition. Thank you so much. You know what we want you to do. Listen, we want you to like, subscribe, and share. It costs you nothing to subscribe, it's totally free. Also, if you want to participate, you can make your comments in the comment section, but you can also use this little QR code that's up in the corner. Take your phone, put the camera on it, and come on into the room. Come on into the room. Good evening, Dwayla Boys. I hope you bring some of that warm weather back. Mr. 1213 and Deborah Harris, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us on Detroit.
Where's she at? What hot spot is she in?
She's in Panama.
Oh, I love Panama.
Mhm.
Panama is a great place to visit. The
Mhm.
Panama Canal is tremendous, and since they got that canal back, they've been making money. They have run the government of Panama have run it better than operated it better than the U.S. for all those years. And
Mhm.
if you look at the demographics in Panama, you'll see the descendants of everybody that helped build that canal and die and gave their blood to diseases, malaria, the most. You see Asians, mostly Chinese. You see black folks, Africans. You see Orthodox Jews. You see indigenous folks. Those are the folks that
It
built this
sounds like
thing
it
and made
sounds
it
like
happen.
America. It sounds
Yeah,
like the United States of
yeah, there's
America.
no question.
A melting pot.
But you would think that a little Central American country don't have that kind of demographics, and they do. Okay, so let's get it on. I'm telling you, I'm looking around the country at special elections, and in all these deep red areas, Democrats are winning the seats.
Yeah, they are.
Is that telling us something?
Yeah, that says that you know what? Maybe, just maybe, people feel like we made a mistake by electing this
Hey,
guy to office. And so we want to, and we're tired of all the craziness. And then for some people, it may be buyer's remorse. You know, hey, we thought we was going to get this. This is what we thought we wanted, but we really didn't want it like that. So yeah, it's interesting. The problem, though, I see Adolph is that okay, the Democrats are winning the seats. What's the message? Because see, the problem is so the party is so fractured. What is the message? What are you going to focus? What are you going to focus on? Because the one thing I can say about the Republican Party, I'm not talking about MAGA. I'm talking about the Republican Party. The Republican Party, they're united. They have strong messaging, and they stick together no matter what. Democrats are all over the place. So this is going to be it's going to be very interesting.
There's no question. Also, Donald Trump has gotten into the bridge deal, the
Yes.
Gordon Howe Bridge. I find it ironic. I'm gonna tell you to let folks know. I worked for Matty Maroon
Yeah.
for almost 9 years as a consultant, and the Ambassador Bridge Company fought new. They fought forever to try to get that bridge not being built. Uh, they double crossed the Maroons, Granholm, and everybody else because they didn't oppose the bridge originally. They thought they was going to be able to run and be the management company, so to speak, and they went another way. And then when Snyder came aboard, he he got the Canadians to put in all the money.
But you know what, Adolph, the people down in Southwest Detroit had a big problem with them building that bridge, and how a lot of these people did not get enough money for the property that they had. They got shafted. They really got.
Guess who got the money? The folks over in Windsor got 3-4 times as much for their property than the people over in Delray. And this bridge was supposed to be built in Grosse Ile.
Mm-hmm.
And those folks in Grosse Ile said, fuck that. They went berserk on the Granholm administration. And they said, okay, let's take it to Southwest Detroit.
Which is unfortunate, because I went to some of those meetings, if you recall. Yeah. And people in Southwest Detroit, Detroiters, just like we are, they were really upset about that. They were just not upset about the fact that, listen, you're offering us pennies for our property, but they were talking about the traffic.
How you think Miss Thane,
in terms of the environment, the fumes from the vehicles, it's just the quality of the roads. Just
asthma is number one problem for a lot of kids. How you think Miss Thane, Rashida Tlaib, built her whole career fighting the bridge company?
Yeah,
and she was in bed with the Snyder administration to get that bridge built. There ain't no question about it. And I find it ironic. Matt Maroon, he's a chip off the old block. He went to DC. He talked to the Trump people because he gave Trump I guess $6 million, whatever. And Trump got saying, unless we get our money, unless they give us, he sounded like a mafia thug.
Right.
I want 50% of your shit, otherwise it ain't opening.
But then you have the governor who says, oh, it's gonna open anyway. But there is a way that he can stop.
He can stop it.
So they doing all this talking. All I say is let's sit back and see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I text one of the people over at the bridge company that I work with. It said Trump undone something that we couldn't do. Put a stop on the bridge because the bridge shouldn't have been built in that area. They got nothing. And while the people in Windsor got 50, 60, 70, some of them got $100,000 US dollars to vacate their place, and somebody over in Delray got shit.
But what does that say? And I know we got a guest sitting backstage, but what does that say about how they feel about? Listen, Grosse Ile is down the street. Them people raised hell, and they said not over here, not in our neighborhood. Okay, we back up. We're gonna go on to Southwest Detroit. I went to some of those meetings, and those meetings were packed, and people were really complaining about what was going on down in Southwest Detroit. And like you said, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib built her career on that. But what does it say about them listening to the people that live in that neighborhood?
They didn't listen, and they're told for 38 years from that bridge go to Canada. So this is what they get. Let's bring our guests on. T. Pharaoh Mohammed, my man, my main man. Meet Vanessa Moss, attorney Vanessa Moss.
Hello, how you doing?
Greetings, attorney.
Well,
how are you?
Nice to meet you. I'll be seeing you soon. Go ahead.
Nice.
I met Mr. Mohammed on the political trail. He ran for city council. Some people say, city politics and acting there's not a big difference because a lot of these politicians act.
Right.
But it was interesting, and I supported him and his run. That he had an agenda, a real agenda. He was looking out for people who had to stop to get gas at gas stations late at night. and he wanted to be on the council where they passed some kind of ordinance saying that these gas stations got to have a full service area with an attendant. And you know, that pissed it off a lot of folks, and some of these city council people were getting money from the Chaldean gas station owners and stuff. So they beat up on my man. And you know, now best thing ever happened is, we'll talk about that in a minute. Why did you run initially, Pharaoh?
Well, first of all, let me say thank you both for inviting me onto your platform here. It is an honor and a privilege, to be here with you all and to share with your illustrious listeners and supporters. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I ran for city council because I believe that at the time, the city was in such a I don't want to say dire straits, but it was in a bad way, right? And I think we all know that what was going on with our then mayor and the image of city government was quite low. The approval ratings for the city government, council, and the mayor was pretty at all-time low, I believe. And so I felt that I had something that I could offer with respect to some of my experience being in the union and being an alternate delegate, well, alternate steward, I should say, and then being a supervisor at one of the big three. I felt that, and of course my community service, the objectives and things that I've been a part of in the community with crime reduction practices and policies and whatnot, and the coaching of Little League football and those things. I felt I had enough background and enough ground support to offer an alternative to what the city looked like with respect to city government, and especially coming from the youth, because I was still in my 40s then. And I wanted to represent my city in a way that would be professional, that would be intelligent, and I wanted to be an advocate for those who felt like the city government was not hearing them and not responding to their cries and their pleas. And so I've always had a heart for the people because that's how my mama raised me. So, and that's still how I am today.
How did you go from politics to acting? And then tell us some of the plays and et cetera, TV shows that you appeared on. But what initially it came to your head and said, okay, I want to act?
Well, if I can be completely truthful, I started acting at the age of 6. So acting wasn't a new thing to me. It was something that I had been doing. In fact, through junior high school, even college, that's where I majored in fine arts, and I received a theater degree with a concentration in acting and directing. And so I'm a Detroit Second City alumni, and so acting has always been, performing arts has always been at my core. I chose a corporate job because it paid more at the time. So I had a small family at the time, and I wanted to make sure that I could provide for my family. And so I was offered an opportunity to go into management, and I took it. 6-figure income with a company car and benefits. I said, okay. Auditions were not coming as plentiful at that time, and it was more challenging. We didn't have internet and Netflix and Hulu and Tubi and all those things, those streaming services that we have now. So it was harder to get the looks and the auditions and the reps that I can get now. So so that was why I went away from acting as a profession, but I never left the craft because I still taught workshops. I still helped direct some plays. I had a poetry collective that we traveled around the country and performed poetry. So that was always there. but the transition from that to politics, if you will, I think my background in theater, or being able to speak in front of a crowd or act in front of a crowd, is what gave me the comfort level to be able to speak and articulate what my position was and how I felt, what I believed I could offer. It gave me a sense of confidence to be able to stand on what they say, how they say now, stand on business, and say, this is me. This is what I bring to the table, and I am unapologetically Black Detroit. So I think the theater helped me. Well, I know that the theater helped me, especially dealing with improv as well. It helped me to be able to share without I guess, the insecurity that a lot of us may have of speaking in front of a large crowd and in front of cameras and things like that. But at the core of all of that still is to serve my community, make my mama and my people proud.
Mr. Muhammad, you talked about television, you've talked about theater, and those are two completely different things, the mediums,
Yes.
if you will. Could you share with our audience the difference between the two? And I also want to know, what is the life of an actor in the city of Detroit like? Because we hear about people moving to California, New York. New York is very big with theater.
Right.
Atlanta, which is really popping. So if you don't mind sharing that with our audience, that would be great.
So when you ask the question about television and stage, are you referring to acting on television or just?
Yes, acting on television and acting as, in theater, two completely different mediums, if you will.
Yeah, they're definitely two different mediums, and now not only that, the way you perform in front of the camera is definitely different than how you perform on stage, and a lot of times stage actors have a difficult time transitioning from stage, because when you're in a stage, when you're in a theater, you have hundreds and hundreds of seats, depending on how big the arena is, could be over 1,000, and people have to see and hear you from the front row all the way up to the nosebleeds, and so you have to be, what they say, big for the stage, but for the camera it has to be small. All the big things that you may do so that people can see you and feel you are not necessarily the same procedures that you would do on television, because you're trying to squeeze everything into this little small box. So yeah, it can be challenging going from being big to now being small. There's not as much physicality that's needed for television. Of course, there are times, you still want to carry the same type of emotion to ensure that the character is authentic, but the way that you do it differs because of the mediums.
What's the hardest, TV or the stage?
I don't know if you know what, that's a good question. I don't know that I can say one is harder than the other. They're just uniquely different. See, one thing I know about television and film is the end product is the director's decision. He determines what it's going to look like. When the director says cut, it's over. And that's that. And you can do a scene over and over and over and over again, different angles and all of that, and your best work sometimes may not even get seen. It may get cut from the what do you call it? From what they call the cutting room floor, right? In the edit room. But on the stage, you have a live audience every single day, every single performance, different people, different energy, different reactions to what you're doing. And that live audience feeds you. It's just like being a musician. I went to see Wynton Marsalis one year at the music hall, and the audience was mostly white, and just a few of us sprinkled in, in the theater. And I was sitting in the mezzanine, and he had a sax. He had a trombone player that was really throwing that slide, right? And he was looking for that feedback from the audience, and he wasn't getting it. So I'm in the mezzanine. I said, "Go ahead, boy, blow that horn." And you can see him really get into it. That's what he lived. That's what we live for. It's that call and response, right? That's inherited in our DNA.
Hey,
And so you don't get that in front of a camera. You get that on the stage. And so again, I can't say one is harder than the other. They're just uniquely different, but they're both beautiful.
one of our viewers asked, "Do you ad-lib when you forget a line when you're on the stage? Do you know?" And because you said that if you're doing 2 shows a day, 5 shows a week, or whatever, do you forget your line sometimes?
It happens. So if I can tell you a true story, we were performing Ma Rainey's Black Bottom at the Detroit Repertory Theater last season, and very successful show. Sold out audiences just about every show. And there's a no cell phone policy inside the auditorium, right? So they ask that you turn it off when the show starts. Everyone doesn't follow that directive, and so, or honor that request, I should say. So there's one time when one of my castmates was doing his monologue, and someone's phone went off. And while it was ringing, we're trying to get through our scene, and the person takes the phone and says, I can't talk right now. Inside the theater, everyone can hear it. It says, I gotta go. I gotta go. Then you hear this. Well, I told him to put the money on the table. Well, how many of y'all over there? And so this whole conversation started going on while one of the castmates was doing his monologue. It was completely distracting, but we got through. Now, what happens sometimes is when you get that interruption, it can throw you off because that's not part of the show. Right. But to answer the question, yes, sometimes an ad lib happens because we're human. We get distracted with what may be happening in the audience, because at the rep, especially, the audience is very close to the stage. We can see you, we can hear you, we can smell you, right? The perfume, the colognes, all of that. Whatever you got, we can feel. And so we get distracted, not easily because we're professionals, but it happens. And that could cause a person to stumble a line. But that's why improv is so important, because when that happens, naturally you move on. The key component to improv is yes and, right? So whatever happens, I accept it and I add to it. There was a time where I dropped a whole part of a song I was singing, and I had to create other lyrics for the song because the beat was still moving. I couldn't say, wait a minute, hold on, start it over. I had to accept the fact that I dropped it. Yes, and let me throw another spin on this song because it's my favorite part right here. And I was able to land back where I was supposed to be.
So you sing in some of your plays?
In this one, I do. So okay. It hasn't kept anyone from coming back. So I guess I'm doing a pretty decent job. But don't come just for the singing.
So, Mr. Muhammad, I asked a question about theater, film, and acting in Detroit as opposed to other areas. One of our guests asked, D. Hughes, shout out to D. Hughes, says, is Detroit thriving in film, TV, and theater?
It's getting a stronger foothold. Yes. What I think is difficult here is providing the type of content, especially in the television and film industry, because we don't have the tax credits that we had here in Michigan. When I was on when I was doing network television, it was usually in Chicago, because Illinois has wonderful tax credits, similar to what they have in Georgia. So without that, there's not a lot of industry that wants to come here and work like there was. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, there's still an opportunity for the independent filmmakers and content creators to put their content out, because we have what is called streaming, and there's good money in streaming, as you can see if you watch any of the movies on Tubi. There are a lot of Tubi.
Going with Tubi.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Say it again.
I was just going to Tubi. I was going to ask you about Tubi because I noticed in Detroit that you have a lot of independent people that are in the arts that are making movies.
Yes.
And a lot of them are making them here in Detroit with Detroit talent, and it's going from here to straight to Tubi.
Yes.
I see a lot of people out, I've met quite a few actors that, I'm in this Tubi movie, that kind of thing. So have you been involved in any of those productions?
Not locally, no, I have not. I have been in films that have played on Tubi and also on Netflix, but I have not worked with anyone here locally with respect to any of the films that are on Tubi. Now, I know a few of them. I know quite a few of them, but we have not done anything professionally. There's still a huge opportunity for the arts as a whole to continue to grow. Detroit is that spot now, and people are looking at Detroit differently than before. One of the things, since you mentioned my campaign run, Brother Adolph, one of the things that I was pushing for was an artist district, wherein that artists could have just a part of the city that was, let's say, run down, and just let them do their thing, similar to what Tyree Guyton has done with.
I was just about to say they let him take some old raggedy ass houses, and now he's a known artist. I ain't capping on the brother.
Yeah, no, I get you.
The bottom line is, I used to tell folks that come up from Birmingham and Troy, why don't you take that shit to your neighborhood and then let us come in there. And but anyway, I think we had Martha Reeves when she was on the city council. She advocated for some of that stuff, and you can go down Woodward and you can see Stevie Wonder Boulevard or whatever there, and people really made fun of her. But they do it every place else. When I say Ron Milner, what comes to mind?
Theater, Black theater.
People don't know he was a Detroiter who made a mark in the theater world.
Absolutely, one of the for those of us who are black actors. Now, here's the thing, and when I say this, let me preface what I'm about to say. I mean this with no disrespect to anyone that's doing whatever they're doing that they believe is acting. But as a classically trained actor, as a classically trained Black actor, there are just certain names that you have to know, that you should know. There are just certain people you have to say that this is what you do. You have to study the craft, and you should know who the greats are, those who have come before you. No, I don't think there's any true technician, and whatever their discipline is, that hasn't studied those who have come before them, that have laid the groundwork for them to be able to build on the very thing that they're working on. I played Charles Gilpin. Many people have not heard of that name. Charles Gilpin was the first Black lead actor on Broadway. He's the one who helped Eugene O'Neill become wealthy with The Emperor Jones. He was not making a lot of money with his writings prior to that. That play put money in his pocket. And Charles Gilpin did not want to say the N-word, which was heavily laden inside the play. And Eugene O'Neill, who was one who wanted his dialogue to be spoken the way he wrote it, took issue with that. So during rehearsals, he would say it all day long. But when it came time to perform it in front of people who didn't know what the script said, he would change the N-word to colored boy or some other term like that because he didn't want his people to be hurt by that word coming out of his mouth in particular. And so there was a rift between the two of them. He went to, I believe, Germany, somewhere in Europe, I believe it was Germany. He was performing it there. And there was a revival of the play, The Emperor Jones, being produced here. He comes back, he meets with O'Neill, thinking that he's going to, do the role again. And he's like, no, I got someone else. And it was an unemployed lawyer by the name of Paul Robeson, who at the time said, yeah, I'll say the N-word all day. For now. Then the play became a film.
Right.
And then Paul Robeson at some point said, yeah, I'm done with that too. I'm not using that word anymore either. But by that point, Eugene O'Neill had made a ton of money off of the play. But Charles Gilpin is the actor whom all stage actors now, Black stage actors, owe a debt of gratitude to, because he basically gave away his career to stand on principle that it is not necessary in this play for me to say this word that hurts my people. This was in the 1920s. And he went into obscurity. No one really heard about him. But now his story is being told as it should. And as a student of the craft, he's to me, he's a hero. Because there are a lot of actors who are like, I don't care, I'll do whatever, because they want the role, they want the work.
How do we get this information to our young people? One of our viewers asked, there's the Fine Arts Building is available. You and your colleagues interested in buying it and producing plays? These young kids don't get to see that. I was fortunate enough to be able to go to New York in high school and saw Pearlie, and I saw Ossie Davis and Melba Moore.
Yes.
And guess who stole the show? Sherman Hensley from the Jeffersons. He turned it out. Yes. He was Stevens before what's his name? Samuel Jackson.
Samuel Jackson, yes.
Yeah, yes. But and that was great. I was hooked in.
Yes. Yeah, so it's interesting that you mentioned that, because when I was in junior high school in particular, we had field trips to the Ford Auditorium, to the DIA, and places like that. So we had drama clubs. So we would learn different things because it was a part of the curriculum. Even though theater or drama was an elective, quote unquote, it still was part of the curriculum, and students were nudged into the arts. Back then, every student had an instrument to play if they were in band. There was no sharing of instruments. Everyone had an instrument to take home and practice with. If you lost one, there was another one for you somewhere. And we've gotten away from that. And I think that this is something that Leah Smith and I were talking about. She's the director, the artistic director at the Detroit Rep. We're talking about working on ways to get that back, where we can have shows that the Detroit Public School students can come and see and become acquainted with the arts and find a home in the arts, even if it's not acting, if it's directing, if it's writing, because there's a lot of children that love to write, and everyone's not going to be a rapper. Right. But if you can write, you can still create a masterpiece, and you can still win a Pulitzer. You can still do all these wonderful things if you know what your other options are. Right. I didn't get an athletic scholarship. I was injured. I was hoping that I would, but since I didn't, I had acting, and I went to school on a theater scholarship. Didn't even know they had those.
Yeah, they got them. Let's take a break.
Okay, and then
Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back to you, Vanessa.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Yeah, you had something to say.
Yeah, we're back, Detroit in Black and White, our Wednesday evening edition. We have Mr. T. Farrell Muhammad, an actor here in the city of Detroit. I'm going to get to your comments, but I want to ask a question because, I think it's getting ready to wrap it up. Mr. Muhammad, you are at the Detroit Repertory Theater in August Wilson's play, The Piano. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Tell our audience about the play and how they can, come and see the play. I know a lot of people are doing fundraisers, so I'm part of the group that's doing fundraisers.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
nice. Okay. Yeah. So, the play, August Wilson's The Piano Lesson, is playing at the Detroit Repertory Theater now until the 15th of March. I have to say, I believe the show is sold out for the rest of the run. It has become that popular at the Rep, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way season 68, we're in 69, but in season 68, the way that season ended. We had a great run with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and then there's a show called Covenant that closed this season, and it was like a thriller. It was really remarkable. And in fact, my castmate in The Piano Lesson and in Ma Rainey, Will Bryson, he directed Covenant, and it was an excellent show. So there were a lot of people who didn't get to see Ma Rainey or may not have gotten to see Covenant, but like, look, I'm definitely going. So our first show, which I was in, Primary Trust, did very well, and now the second show of the season, Piano Lesson, is doing remarkably well. We even when it's cold, we had sold out show. I mean, when I say you know how cold it was the last couple of weeks,
right?
And they were coming out. They want to see The Piano Lesson. And the beautiful thing about this play, most producers, when they're producing an August Wilson play, they play very hard to the serious. And yes, August Wilson wrote some very serious work. He's the Shakespeare of our time. He's the our Black Shakespeare. And so a lot of his material is very heavy. But in the script, in the stories, he inserts levity. And there are times when there's humor in the show that I think oftentimes is overlooked. And we have extracted some of the humor that's in the script so that the audience can enjoy, because it's a 2.5-hour show. August Wilson shows can be pretty lengthy. And so to sit there and be heavy burdened with the seriousness of the piece can be a bit overwhelming. And so the levity, the humor kind of lightens up the mood, if you will, and it allows you to be able to sit through and enjoy the show. If you're not familiar with the show, it's about a piano that is an heirloom in the family. One of the children wants to sell it. The other one doesn't. I don't want to give the whole story away, but there's some significance about the piano and why the one sibling doesn't want to sell it, and there's some significant reasons why the other one does. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah. I am excited about seeing it. I'm involved in 2 groups that is using it as a fundraiser, so I'll see it twice.
And we're gonna have to have you back on, Farrell.
Anytime.
And and you say it's all sold out. We got you. Where the tickets at that week? You
got to meet me around back.
But anyway, and also, how's my most favorite group in the world? The Last Poets.
Last Poets, yes. Yeah, so they are doing fine. They're still performing. Listen, they're running like a Timex watch. Just keep on ticking. And I'm very happy to know that they are still on the watch.
Yeah, well, they was way ahead of their time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Farrah Mohammed, actor, politician. Man, the guy can do it all. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was good.
It was. It was a really good. It was a good interview, and I think it was very fitting, given that it is Black History Month, and so I think it's awesome that that he came on the show and talked about things that he's doing here in the city of Detroit, in particularly contributing to the arts. So, Jim has joined us, and I'm hoping we can get back to that conversation because we didn't finish it. But hey, Jim, what's up?
Good evening. Hello to you and Adolph. Hello to all our friends out there, Dee and Janet. I see you guys.
Yeah,
thank you for your
go ahead and
contribution.
name them all off because I didn't name them. Go ahead.
Janet. Hi, Janet. Tamari, I love the last poets. D. Hughes getting through this segment without Jim. I'm glad to see you tonight. Thank you, D. Let's go. I'm trying to get through us. I know musicians who learned their crafts in Cooley High School, Tamari, and went on to play music with Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Gap Band, etc. We need to bring back music in public schools. Thank you, Tamari.
I know who he's talking about. One of them, Gregory Phillips gang, from Detroit. He was in Upward Bound. I was a summer tutor when I was in college, and this guy played the drums. He played every instrument you can imagine, and Stevie Wonder plucked him right out of school, and he's been doing it ever since.
I think the fascinating thing is you don't know what a great city. You don't know who you're passing on the street, right? The talent that's out there is, to me, it's fascinating to think there's a gentleman like that out there that, not everybody knows who he is, but I wanted to hear if he ever left his career, if he just does this part-time, but we didn't.
Well, he's been on Chicago Med for 2 episodes.
Sure.
And I saw him. I'm like, man, he fit right in. It's like, damn, people act. They know how to act.
D had made a comment earlier about Trump being half devil and half God. I think that was an interesting take. It's back here somewhere. I missed it. Hey, Eric. Hi. Jurawa. Nice to see you tonight. Detroiters invest in a camera and YouTube account. My hometown, Chicago, everybody is shooting music videos. I'm not shooting music videos. Eric Brown. What do you guys think about that comment? I thought about that because, I think that's all of us. We all have a little of the devil and a little of the good side on us. And I think some have more of the devil in them. And Trump maybe leaning that way, but it's an interesting take, right? We all have the little man on each of our shoulders trying to keep us in line. And,
I ain't claiming no devil sitting on my shoulder. I'm just not doing it. I will say this. I think we started talking about him because we were talking about how he involved himself in this whole bridge situation and basically how the governor of this great state said no, the bridge is opening no matter what. But she don't get it. If he wants to do it, there's a possibility that he can. And then, of course, the conversation evolved into how Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib built her whole campaign on basically trying to save Southwest Detroit. And we see what happened. The bridge is already up and they're doing what they want to do.
Well, because Southwest Detroit is like a garbage dump. If you want to put something in there that pollutes and hurts folks, go to Southwest Detroit. And the people that represent them, and Rashida Tlaib made her mark on convincing those folks over in Delray that that's the best deal, that's a great deal. When I knew that over in Windsor, the same kind of houses folks got twice as much for their houses than the folks over here in Southwest Detroit. They couldn't even take that little money and get get shit. They couldn't buy another house.
Speaking of stepchild, it's a headline today. 93-year-old pipe flooded Southwest Detroit. Now the Great Lakes Water Authority wants historic rate hike. Again, treated like a stepchild. I mean, we know that things have gone up, right? We know that it costs more to do things, but these people, I mean, the people of Southwest Detroit have experienced something that's catastrophic. Their properties, a lot of their properties are flooded, destroyed. They've lost their memorable things, memorabilia, etc. And now they get rewarded with a historic rate.
All they famous for now is they created Steve Toboggan, who created Rashida Tlaib, who created Stephanie Chang, and they created that woman that sits on the city council right now, Gabrielle, whatever, fuck her last name. Yeah, and that's all they created, these politicians that do nothing. You see, Stephanie Chang is gone from Southwest Detroit. Rashida split and went back to Dearborn. Yeah, and that's what that Gabrielle is going to do too. Toboggan made a lot of money, etc. Yeah, you know, and they buy into all the bullshit that they tell these folks. Oh, sell your house. Yeah, the Snyder and them, they looking out for you, knowing that James Blanchard was working with the Canadians. He was making $1,000 a hour. Dick Posthumus, who one of the prominent Republicans, was working with them. They was making big bucks. Granholm's husband was a consultant with the city of Windsor. They all made money on this shit at the back of the folks over in Southwest Detroit. And they made Matty Maroon the devil. Oh, Matty Maroon, because he knew how to play the game. All he wanted a part of this was to be the management company, and they stabbed him in the back. Yeah. You know, so I listen, he getting to them beyond the grave, because Trump didn't even know about the bridge, didn't care about the bridge until Matt Maroon went there and said, "I listen what I gave you for your reelection, etc." You know, that's what moves Trump is money. And here we are. He put his hands in the middle of the pot. You know, give me 50% or boom.
And Tamari says Trump is a mafia mob boss and a modern day American traitor, Benedict Arnold. Stephanie, thanks, Stephanie. We don't get any money for tolls for 38 years. Well, I won't see those tolls. Why is that people like Claudia Jordan talks a lot about red states, but she left California to move to red Texas because of the costs in California. Now she'll vote to destroy Texas with blue policies. Thank you, D. Edward, hello. Deborah, Janet, Tamari, everybody is saying hello. Thank you for saying hello. Can we talk about something just briefly?
Go ahead.
Kind of eating at me a little bit. I've been watching a little bit of the Olympics and some of these interviews, and can we just leave the athletes alone, for God's sakes? These are people that live in a bubble, all right? All they do is compete, and they're concentrating on what they need to do, and we have the press out here harassing them, trying to make them take a political position. This is really irritating. Leave these people alone, right? They're allowed to believe whatever the heck they want to believe, but just leave them alone. They spend day and night eating and the fluid intakes and training. We don't have any idea how much training they do, and they're going to shove a microphone in their face and say, "How do you feel about representing the United States?" They're not asking people around the world. Just leave these folks alone. Interview them 6 months from now. All right.
Right. And what are they supposed to say? You stick the microphone in my face. I have USA on my body, on my shirt or whatever the case may be. What do you think I'm going to say?
But it's been political.
Represent the United States of America. Listen, politics are politics.
But it's been there.
United
It's
States,
been,
they play everywhere else. So stop it. Go
no,
ahead.
you ain't gonna stop because politics has been tangled up with the Olympics forever. And you can go back to when Germany in 1936, and they that was the big political brouhaha with the Olympics. 1968, 1972, when when the Palestinian terrorists killed Israeli athletes. It's always been when Jimmy Carter said we boycotting Russia in 1980. Then Russia say we boycotting America in 1984. Shit, I can't
My
get
point
away
is no
from it.
country, no country's
Listen,
perfect.
the white supremacists in Atlanta when they had the Olympics in Atlanta, he's shooting and killing people.
Eric
Yes.
Rudolph, Eric Rudolph.
Yes. So yeah, it's I agree with you. I agree with that they should leave them alone, but they're not going to leave them alone because some of these athletes are entrenched in the political world. They want to make a statement, especially if they win a gold medal and shit. And I think that athletes from other countries like Poland, if they win a gold medal, they get $300,000-$400,000 for the gold medal, a condo and a car and all this other stuff. Here in the U.S., it's $30,000, and for a gold, and less than that for whatever else. So, yeah, it's people want to make the statements.
Let them say whatever they want to say, but we can't. Why are we forcing them to make comments?
They're not going to stop. Long as they CBS and NBC and all these other cables send folks there to the Olympics, they're going to talk. When I went to the Olympics in Paris, that's all you seen was folks giving interviews on the street. Don't whatever they talking about. Here's a media truck. Here's from all over the world. So the media, they don't have nothing else to do. But
thank you, Derek. Black September 1972, as Adolph mentioned, with the weightlifting team. I think it was a weightlifting team and Israeli weightlifting team in the hotel.
Okay, I want to do my. Go ahead.
No,
so let me do a couple of shout outs because we got people from all the way from Texas. Irene Matthews, thank you so much for watching Detroit in black and white. Tracy Loftus Allan, good evening. I believe this is the first time viewer. I don't remember that name. Jill Sheridan. Hey girl, what's up? Karen Winston. Mr. 1213. Thank you so much for participating this evening. I also want to give a shout out to, I've already acknowledged DQ, Stephanie Jackson, Eric Brown. Who is this? Are into refuge. Let me see.
Ren 10. Is it Ren 10? I want to get, yeah, I think it says Ren.
Ren Tennis. I don't know. I don't know. Refuge. Hey, what's up? Okay. Thank you so much. They said Detroit, I love you. Lived there twice. 1964 to 1970, went to Wayne State for their degree, and then in 92 and 96. Come on back home. To Mary Kimmett, she said, what a fascinating life and career. She was talking about Mr. Muhammad. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Adolph.
Okay. You telling me to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I want to do my little Black history shout out. Today, I'm doing something a little different on this. I grew up in the projects of Royal Oak Township. This guy right here used to be my football coach in high school. He was a neighbor. He went to the University of Michigan and made me want to go. But here's his story. Alvin Mays. He teaches now at the University of Maryland. He teaches dance. You say football, dance. He teaches dance, been there for 40 years. He taught Lynn Bias. Remember Lynn Byers, Jim?
Yeah, I do.
And anyway,
Maryland.
he's the only person that attended the University of Michigan where he played football, was in the band, and was a cheerleader at the University of Michigan. Man, and now teaches dance. And he was the meanest ass coach in the world. But Alvin Mays, growing up in Royal Oak Township, a poor community, but we had a lot of rich folks, so to speak. The Spinners used to sing on the corner in the township. One of my favorite groups. They grew up there. That's how they was discovered. Man, I tell you, they made great music. When I was a kid, 5, 6, 7, my first song that I ever liked was "Great Balls of Fire" by by Jerry Lee Lewis. Guess who gave me the record? The little 45, Jackie Wilson. He used to visit us. I'm out there. I remember Jackie Wilson as a kid, one of the greatest R&B singers that we had in this country. He could sing.
Mr. Excitement.
Yeah. And least of all, we had a principal at George Washington Carver School named Dr. Joseph Hudson. He came from the township, didn't have a school district. They owed Detroit a lot of money. So the state convinced Oak Park, and they gave them all kind of incentives to take Royal Oak Township into their school district. And then they sent a guy from the Department of Education to the township, Black man named Joseph Hudson, had a PhD from Michigan State to take over Carver School. He went through hell. But this guy should have been the superintendent of Oak Park schools. I found out later when I was doing my master's program at Wayne State and look and come across some stuff, the history of Royal Oak Township in the school district, that when he showed up, all administrators plus the superintendent in Oak Park went back to school to get their PhDs. They didn't have it. All of them only had master's degrees. he came and basically shamed them into going back to school. So those are my 3 Black history moments. Being able to grow up in this little place where we in poverty and all that, but we had richness in a whole lot of ways. So Black history.
Okay. Jim, are you going to do yours?
I'm just gonna say hello. I came in late, so I want to say hello to our friends Edward, Miss Sheila, Karen C, Tracy, Janet, the other Janet S, Jill, FBA, Dominique. Nice to see you guys. Ira Todd, Irene, Derek, of course, Tamari, and D Hughes. If I missed a few, my apologies, but hello to everybody, and thanks for joining us. I said Stephanie Jackson, one of our contributors. I think I got a lot of our friends out there. If I missed you, my apologies. That's all.
So I want to talk. Well, we were talking about the Olympics, but I think we get ready to go. But Aaron Jackson, who won gold medal today as an individual, young lady, 33 years old, Black History Month. Keep it going. I think we should not only acknowledge those that have transitioned, but those that are making history today. And so I just want to give a shout out and a nod to Aaron Jackson, who represented the United States very well.
Well, a great show, and I want to thank our audience, T. Farrell Mohammed, for coming on. Jim, you had something, your final thought?
I was just going to ask Vanessa. I say this on Well, I'll ask her after. I want to know where Ricardo Moore is. I know he sent you something the other night. I don't know why we don't have him on the show.
I've asked Ricardo to come on the show. I'm going to ask him again.
What a great example of a courageous and tough a leader for the city of Detroit. And I met him once, had a little brief conversation with him, and I immediately thought he was just a straight up guy. We should have him on the show. That's all.
Well,
Okay.
maybe we could talk about it on Friday. D wants to talk about the Super Bowl. I didn't watch it, but I don't watch the NFL. But maybe the gentleman on the panel can talk about the Super Bowl on Friday.
Well, I didn't watch it, but I can talk about it.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Okay.
Okay, we'll be back. We'll
On
be
Friday.
back on Friday. This is Detroit in Black and White. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Teresa. You make this happen all
Yep.
the
Thanks,
time.
T. We love you.
See you on Friday.